Welcome to my unforeseen predicament, a tale of deceit. My phone screen displayed an urgent message, court motion filed for emergency custody, accusations of physical abuse. Hearing set for Monday at 9 a.m., I found myself seated in my daughter's nursery at midnight, gazing at her peacefully sleeping form. It was then that my lawyer's text arrived. My wife, Autumn, was out with her book club. Our 2-year-old daughter, Ivy, was blameless, and I'd never resorted to violence in my life. This was the unfortunate irony. For the past 6 weeks, I'd wrestled with the notion that I might be losing my sanity. It began subtly. Autumn would reference conversations we hadn't had, bills I supposedly overlooked, appointments I'd agreed to but couldn't find in my calendar. As a structural engineer, precision and documentation are the cornerstones of my career. I don't forget things. But Autumn was so persuasive that I even contemplated an appointment to rule out early-onset dementia, scheduled for the following Tuesday. Now, I knew I wouldn't need it. 3 hours prior, I discovered a hidden phone. I wasn't spying. Instead, I was attending to Ivy during her feeding, who had a blowout diaper. In the process of grabbing the diaper bag for a bath, I noticed that the usually secure pocket inside was partially open. This pocket, as Autumn always mentioned, held personal items. I spotted the phone's corner protruding, my initial thought being a common setup for a cheating spouse. However, upon powering it on during Autumn's shower, I unearthed communications that made infidelity seem trivial. All messages were directed to one contact. Appraisal approved, asking price $340K. Autumn, it's actually worth $625K. Isn't the appraisal likely to cause suspicions? Autumn, I own the appraisal company, trust the process. Autumn, when do I sign? Autumn, after the protection order is granted, court date is Monday. This hinted at an immediate sale of our marital home in a domestic violence situation, necessitating quick liquidity for safety. The recipient would never suspect it. 6-month trail of messages revealed their plot to sell our house, meticulously planned like a heist scenario. Autumn orchestrated proof of my abuse by recording a pattern of incidents in therapy appointments that never transpired. She took photos of fake bruises and saved makeup tutorial screenshots for later use, along with voice memos of her pretending to cry following fabricated outbursts from me. Dr. Celeste Winters, a therapist who apparently asked minimal follow-up questions, was involved in creating this paper trail. They filed for an emergency protection order on Sunday night, followed by a sympathetic judge's Monday hearing, granting them a temporary order barring me from the house and granting her sole access to our daughter and home. The plan culminated with her successfully extracting herself from the situation. Faced with legal restrictions from the property and accusations of abuse, she sought an emergency sale of the matrimonial home for safety and child welfare reasons. A commercial real estate developer named Greg Mallory, who was her affair partner and had a shell LLC, would purchase it at half its value. The undervalued transaction would be justified by pressing circumstances. Disappearance. After the house sold, she'd withdraw the funds, take Ivy, and move to Greg's property in Montana. This left me grappling with abuse charges, financially ruined, and separated from my daughter by 1,200 miles. The phone revealed they had been plotting this for 8 months. Since February, when Greg initially proposed the idea during what he referred to as our anniversary dinner, meaning they'd been involved for at least a year prior to that. I sat on the nursery floor, listening to my daughter breathe softly in her crib, as I read the devastation of my entire life detailed in blue and gray text bubbles. However, Autumn was unaware of some facts about me. As an engineer, I remain composed when faced with structural issues. I assess load-bearing points and failure thresholds, then design solutions. In this case, I took pictures of every detail. My attorney, Desmond Chen, whom I've worked with since purchasing my first property at 26, was the one I contacted. He's 63 years old, drives a 1987 Mercedes, and is notorious for being merciless in court. He picked up the phone at 11:47 p.m. on a Saturday. After I explained the situation, he asked, "How serious?" A protection order hearing is scheduled in 38 hours, followed by a fraudulent home sale. Additionally, there's parental alienation, identity theft for false abuse claims, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Should I continue? Can you prove all of this? I have screenshots of their entire plan spanning 6 months. I found the phone in a diaper bag. Since it's technically community property in our house, I can use it legally, albeit somewhat gray. Don't touch the phone again. Leave it exactly where you found it. Will you reach my office within an hour? There's a napping toddler. Bring her along. We're heading into a battle. Desmond's office was filled with the aroma of coffee and old law books. Ivy dozed peacefully in her car seat while he scrutinized my photos on his laptop, maintaining an expressionless face. You mentioned that she has a therapist corroborating her story, Dr. Celeste Winters. The messages suggest Autumn is paying her for flexible documentation. That's a felony. False reporting to secure a protection order. He jotted down notes. Real estate developer Greg Mallory. I know him well. He's been under investigation for property fraud twice, though never charged. He's on the State Real Estate Board's watch list. Looking up, he explained our next steps. Tomorrow, remain inactive and act normal. She needs to submit her petition for a protection order. This will mark her first prosecutable offense. On Monday morning, appear in court with me. Let her testify, allow her to present her evidence, then we'll introduce your evidence. You might raise suspicions if I set up cameras, but consider the context. She's been producing fake documents and plotting real estate fraud and parental kidnapping. The evidence is on your side here. He retrieved a notepad. However, we need additional proof. The messages are helpful, but we require concrete evidence. Can you access your financial records? I manage all our accounts, so check for any unusual activity, such as cash withdrawals, new accounts, or transfers. Additionally, do you have home security cameras? No, Autumn always felt uncomfortable with them. Desmond smiled. Naturally, she would. Here's your task. Tomorrow, install 3 hidden, cloud-connected cameras in the living room, kitchen, and your bedroom without her noticing. Our goal is to record her either preparing false evidence or communicating with Mallory. Can you accomplish this discreetly? Tomorrow afternoon, I'll be taking Ivy to my mother's place for a birthday celebration, leaving me to work from home instead. Excellent timing. I should utilize this opportunity to buy and install surveillance cameras using cash. This way they can be set up when she's away. Then we'll just wait and see. On Sunday afternoon, while driving our daughter to my in-laws, I installed 3 inconspicuous wireless cameras, one behind a living room picture frame, another in the kitchen's pot rack, and a third hidden within the bedroom bookshelf, focused on the bed. These cameras are connected to an app on a tablet I bought exclusively for this project, which Autumn doesn't even know exists. Upon her return at 7 p.m., Ivy was exhausted and irritable. I took care of putting her to bed while Autumn went straight to the bedroom, closing the door behind her. In the meantime, I monitored the feed from the nursery as Ivy drifted off to sleep in my arms. As Autumn called Greg on her burner phone, she mentioned they were meeting tomorrow at 8 a.m. for a filing and a hearing at 9. The judge assigned was Brennan. She is the one who issues approximately 90% of emergency orders. The image on the screen was of Greg, around mid-40s, sporting an expensive haircut. A self-assured smile common among men who haven't experienced significant repercussions. Are you certain about your account? I've been rehearsing details with Celeste for 3 months, dates, times, specific events. I even have photographs of my injuries, time-stamped. He becomes aggressive when he drinks, a fact I've subtly mentioned to 3 different neighbors over the past 2 months. I've meticulously planned this. What about the financial aspect? I established a separate account in March. I've been transferring small sums weekly, not enough to attract his attention, but have managed to save $47,000 so far. Once our house sells and we divide the liquid assets, I will have around $220,000. Combined with your Montana property, we would be secure. As for Autumn, her expression turned frosty. She's my bargaining chip. He will be willing to accept any custody arrangement I suggest, limited to supervised visits at best. I will ensure the supervisor records every detail, ultimately aiming to revoke his rights completely. In 2 years, he'll only be a monthly child support payment. I watched as my wife, the woman I married 6 years ago, the mother of my child, strategized my total ruin with a casual conversation tone, similar to discussing dinner plans. I love you, Greg said. Love you too. See you in Montana next month, she hung up. She reviewed the call log and returned the phone to her purse. I had everything on video. Monday morning came like an execution date. Autumn dressed cautiously, wearing a modest blouse with minimal makeup, giving the impression of a woman living in fear. She arranged for her mother to look after Ivy for the day. I have some errands, she told me at breakfast. I'll be back this afternoon. Sure, I said. I have project deadlines anyway. She gave me a kiss on the cheek. 8:47 a.m., I received a text from Desmond. By then, Autumn had filed an emergency petition alleging 3 instances of physical violence and persistent emotional abuse. In 13 minutes, our hearing was set to begin. I called in sick to work and hurried there. The courtroom turned out smaller than anticipated. Judge Brennan presided, a woman in her 50s with keen eyes that seemed to hint she'd heard every lie imaginable. Autumn was accompanied by a court-assigned advocate who had strategically placed tissues for visibility as she cried. Upon my arrival with Desmond, Autumn paled visibly. "Your Honor," the advocate started, "my client filed this emergency petition due to escalating domestic violence." Judge Brennan interrupted. "I've already reviewed the petition, Mr. Whitmore. You have legal representation, Desmond Chen, for the respondent." The judge then fixed her gaze on me. Whitmore comprehends these accusations are severe, involving physical violence, threats, and controlling behavior. "I concur, Your Honor. However, they are entirely unfounded." Autumn's attorney rose. "Your Honor, my client possesses evidence, therapy records, photographs of injuries, witness statements. Show us these pieces of evidence." Judge Brennan indicated. Ms. Whitmore advanced to testify. Autumn moved towards the witness stand as if heading for a funeral. She was sworn in, and her attorney guided her through the narrative, recounting 3 incidents. May 14, it's alleged I pushed her during an argument about finances. June 22, I supposedly threw a glass that shattered near her head. August 3, I allegedly gripped her arm forcefully enough to leave bruises captured the following day. She cried during her testimony, tears genuine, honed through months of practice perfecting method acting. "Did you report these incidents to your therapist?" The attorney inquired. "Yes, Dr. Celeste Winters," she responded. "I've been seeing her since March. Why didn't you inform the police about this?" I was terrified. "He is a successful engineer, highly regarded in the community, and maintains a meticulous image. I thought no one would believe me." Judge Brennan jotted down notes, looking at me intently. "Mr. Whitmore, do you wish to question the witness?" Desmond rose from his seat. "Your Honor, instead of cross-examination, we'd like to present evidence that directly counters these allegations. Proceed." Desmond walked up to the bench with a tablet. "Your Honor, 3 days ago, Mr. Whitmore found a burner phone in his home containing 6 months' worth of messages between his wife and her lover, Greg Mallory. These messages reveal an intricate scheme of fraud, involving false abuse claims, a planned quick sale of their marital property at an undervalued price, and parental abduction. We possess the complete message history, which I am submitting as evidence, labeled as Defense Exhibit A. The courtroom fell silent." Judge Brennan took the tablet from Desmond's hands. "Spend 3 consecutive minutes reading." Her countenance remained unchanged, yet I observed her jaw tightening. "Miss Whitmore," she said slowly, "I am viewing messages dated back to last Thursday, messages where you discuss rehearsing your narrative with your therapist, messages where you discuss fabricating injuries. Messages where you and Mr. Mallory plan to buy your matrimonial residence through a shell company at $340,000 when county records show its assessed value is $625,000. She looked up. "Would you like to clarify this situation?" Autumn's complexion shifted from white to gray. "Indeed, those messages are accurate." "He unlawfully accessed my private communications," Desmond interrupted. "Since the phone was found in our shared dwelling, there's no assumption of privacy for a device concealed on common property." Judge Brennan held up her hand. "Miss Whitmore, I am more interested in the contents of the phone rather than how it was discovered. Did you or did you not plot to file false abuse claims as part of a fraudulent scheme?" "Hush, respond to my query. You desire a lawyer, but you are not being arrested at present. Nonetheless," Judge Brennan instructed the bailiff, "summon the prosecutor's office on the phone. I necessitate an agent from the fraud division here in half an hour." She looked towards Autumn's legal representative. "Your client has just lied under oath in this courtroom. This request is rejected." "Mr. Whitmore, I'm ordering a temporary restraint barring Ms. Whitmore from accessing your daughter until we address the criminal facets of this predicament." Tears began to flow sincerely from Autumn now, driven by genuine terror. "Yet there's more, Your Honor," Desmond announced. "We also possess video proof from this weekend." He presented a second device containing home security footage depicting Ms. Whitmore and Mr. Mallory discussing their plan over the phone call. She made clear her intention to falsely incriminate Mr. Whitmore, manipulate custody hearings, and move out of state with their daughter. The clip was played in court. Autumn's voice echoed through the room. In 2 years, it would merely be a series of child support payments for him, Judge Brennan observed as the incident concluded. Upon its ending, she instructed the bailiff to add charges such as conspiracy to commit fraud and attempted parental kidnapping to the initial accusation. Autumn crumpled in her seat. The consequences unfolded more swiftly than anticipated. The prosecutor's office took a liking to the case. With an attractive defendant, compelling proof, and a pitiable victim, they filed charges within a week, including false reporting, conspiracy to commit real estate fraud, attempted theft, and perjury. Celeste Winters was stripped of her therapy license due to the discovery of falsified documentation provided to numerous clients in bitter divorce cases. It emerged that she generated more income from fabricated reports than genuine therapy. Greg Mallory also faced individual charges for his part in the scheme. The State Real Estate Board had gathered sufficient evidence to revoke his license, causing his shell LLC to disintegrate under investigation. Autumn accepted a plea bargain, facing 3 years in prison followed by 5 years of probation and supervised visits only upon completion of her sentence. Any request for parental rights would need court approval, with every related communication concerning me as a child support payer being part of the record. The house remains unsold. I still reside there, accompanied now by Ivy, who is 3 years old and frequently asks about Autumn's whereabouts. I explain that her mother made some mistakes and needs time to rectify them. At an appropriate moment, I will disclose the full truth to her. However, not at this point in time. Later, I discovered that Autumn's mother had been unaware of the plan and had been deceived as much as I was. Remarkably, she has proven helpful with childcare and support. She weeps every visit, expressing remorse for failing to recognize her daughter's transformation. I bear no grudge against her. I too was blind to it. The most peculiar revelation came after the collapse of everything. Autumn had previously carried out a similar scheme, although not identical in detail. In our 6-year union, she had never spoken of her prior husband. He divorced her under a protective order due to unspoken reasons, though allegations of abuse were later verified by my lawyer's contacts. The matter was settled discreetly, with her gaining a substantial sum in return for his criminal record being erased. She remarried me 18 months after that. Essentially, I was the second victim of her manipulation. What set this apart was her perfected strategy, finding a spouse willing to manage real estate and meticulously planning her schemes. However, she hadn't anticipated the diaper bag zipper malfunctioning at an inconvenient time. Now, when people ask how I am, I respond with intricate honesty. Furious, not the sensationalized anger portrayed in films, but a relentless, bitter fury over the breach of trust. She didn't merely infidel to our marriage, she exploited our child as a weapon. I was prepared to shatter a toddler's bond with his father for money and a fresh romance, yet oddly thankful. I uncovered the truth about my spouse before it was too late, before she could sever me from Ivy, sell our house, and vanish over state borders, before I engaged in a futile struggle against concocted proof. A burner phone rescued me, and now I have full custody of a 3-year-old who adores me as the world's best father due to my tasty pancakes and humorous bedtime tales. I own a home, my life is truthful. Autumn is confined in a minimum security facility approximately 90 miles away. She mailed letters, apologies, explanations, pleas for contact with Ivy. My lawyer scrutinizes them all. The majority are destined for future court hearings. In my search for signs of sincere regret or understanding of how such deception could occur, I have found none thus far. Last month, Ivy inquired about when she might get a baby brother or sister. I responded that it might happen eventually, but for now it's just the two of us facing the world together. She accepted this, saying our partnership was strong enough, and she was right. We are a good team, and I vow never to let anyone endanger this bond again. I've been attending therapy with a licensed psychologist named Dr. Raymond Torres, who specializes in trauma from manipulation within intimate relationships. He is assisting me in dealing with what he terms coercive control. The manner in which Autumn gradually made me question my sanity while preparing my downfall. It's proving beneficial, though slowly. I have also become excessively thorough in documenting matters that may appear paranoid. I keep extensive records of every expenditure, decision related to parenting, and interaction with Autumn's family. The cameras remain operational. Evidence is consistently kept in order and updated by my lawyer, as I've come to understand that trust, similar to a structural element, isn't merely repaired when broken. Instead, it must be rebuilt from the ground up using stronger materials and regular checks. Ivy and I are both going through this process, and late at night, when she's asleep, I often reflect on the instant I spotted the phone peeking out of the diaper bag's pocket. A sliding door moment that could have led to me overlooking it entirely, changing my life significantly. If I had, things would be vastly different now. These pivotal moments shape everything. I consider myself fortunate or perhaps merely attentive at the opportune instant. Regardless, here I am with Ivy by my side, safe, and Autumn in her rightful place, bearing the consequences of assuming she was more astute than everyone else. In engineering, we have a rule: every construction has a weak point. It's impossible to create something so flawless it will never shatter. The aim is to create for resilience, thus minimizing harm during failure and enabling recovery. My marriage crumbled. Yet I constructed a recovery fortified around what was of utmost importance. Ivy is now 4 years old. She has little recollection of the past, which I view as a blessing. Eventually, she'll learn the truth when she can comprehend it. For now, all she understands is that she's cherished, secure, and Daddy always fulfills his pledges. That's the essential framework that matters now.